So her spirit goes, yay, I got it. Okay, maybe she won't sit on the stage like I am, but she'll learn to trust her dreams enough that that's the way she'll get her information. Sometimes I get a flash of something, or energy builder up, coming to me, and I go, oh my God, there's something coming my way. I don't know what it is. You're intuitive enough to know, to start paying attention. And what happens is we either are always constantly aware because energy builds up and the energy is coming to us because our time is always traveling our way and leaving back way, right? Or you've learned to manipulate and control your energy field to such an extent that you're traveling in 10-second intervals to the from the present to the future and back again. How many of you say, I go through what's called Deja Vu? Believe in that. The scientists have said that some people process information on a much slower level than others. I must process it at 1,000th of a percent that some people do. Boom, I'm a fast burner. But there's some people in the audience that hear slower, react slower, and maneuver life slower. They say that those people sometimes will go through deja vu because the information has come to them, but it takes 10 seconds for them to process it. I'm not sure about that. I say maybe very small, 1-2% of the population. I believe that most of us, when we go through a situation and we sit there and go, gee, I know what that person's going to say, I know what that person's going to say, I know someone's going to run through a red light, I know my mom's calling, my mother-in-law's calling. What happens is you've traveled 10-30 seconds into your future time, whoop, and back again. Learn to recognize that's what is happening. So the best way I tell you to do that is visualize yourself surfboarding, and you're riding a crest of a wave into the sand. The first time I did it, I went, oh shit. Oop, I fell right off the board, lost all the sensation. The buildup of heat within your body, the goosebumps, the anticipation, and a wee bit of fear is the real thing. You may get all of that or a combination of those symptoms. My best solution for you is I want you to relax, and I want you to visualize yourself riding a surfboard. How balanced can you be for the next 10, 15, 30 seconds? How smooth can you keep your vibration to receive all that information coming from the future into the present? You're reaching with your energy into a future time that hasn't happened yet. You're getting a flash of something so fast that you want to capture every molecule of that truth. If you get it and you're going through a waking dream or information is coming to you that fast and you want every bit of it, you relax every essence of your being until it's finished all of the processing. When you start honoring that, you'll get the information more and more. And that's traveling your own time. What's interesting is if you do that and learn that, then when you travel someone else's time, you'll recognize that feel and you'll slip right through a thought of theirs, right into a future event. If you can control your time, you'll understand traveling someone else's time. Because if you get nervous and excited and fall off, you're going to fall off someone else's time also. Does that make sense? Hope so. I talk all fast, I apologize. But it's so exciting, I can't wait to get it all out. I'm hurrying, okay? Okay, we have covered a lot of the different things: mental telepathy, psychometry, x-ray vision, empathic. When I was addressing the word courting into somebody else, that's called empathic. Means become part of somebody else. I have an unusual ability to see bones and muscles and all kinds of body parts. How fun. One of the lady friends, she says, come over here and meet Barney. Would you please go through his body and read every little bit of him? I go, geez, I haven't met him yet. Should I do that? With humor, I got this gentleman to lighten his spirit, and he allowed me. She had asked me for a medical look. Oh my gosh, you know you can get in trouble with the law. If you're not a public accountant, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not a doctor, you better not start practicing that way. So with clarity, when you talk to somebody, by the way, if I'm in there floating around, if I have an impression, if you want to know, can I tell you something? But I'm not a doctor, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not really supposed to give you advice, so please hear it that way. If you have a question about your body or your personal financial matters, would you please consult an attorney or accountant or a doctor? Keep that in mind. Don't take that all for getting that doctor role, or that importance in that person's life. Because you're only who you are, and you're only supposed to receive information. And with gentleness, you may give somebody some information about a grandparent or a loved one. I try so hard, and I fear sometimes I hurt people's feelings. My intention is so honorable, I don't want to hurt anybody. Because you're so delicate, I only want the best for you. Please keep that in mind. Don't hurt somebody. Don't take a power trip. Don't get an ego trip. Boy, I want to control this person. She's going to come back and pay me thousands of dollars for fixing something. You get yourself in that space, you'll never read right again in your entire life. With gentleness, we want to enter somebody's peace. We want them with clarity to get it on the easiest, gentlest way possible. Yeah, I blast it out sometimes. My mind works 1,000 miles a minute. But with my heart out there, you got to know it's with honesty. You keep your heart out there, and if you travel that time and you get something delicate, put it that way. But you're not a doctor, lawyer, or accountant. You just give them the information. Ego and emotion is something I really emphasized here, because you want to be a tool to the universe. You want to be a channel and a funnel. With clarity who you are, with clarity who you're reading, the ethnic, the moral backgrounds of the people. Taking the sensitivity of information, the clarity of thought. Get your ego and emotion out of it, and you'll hit it better. Remember the woman that came to me last week with 2 men she loved. Boy, did it hurt me to tell her that neither one of these men would be for her. I look at that and I say, how wonderful it is for her to know true love anyway. The word grace is very important to me. That song, Amazing Grace, every time I hear it, I cry. I believe that to go on to the next spiritual plane after we pass is accepting all the things that happened in our life, understanding and with grace, accepting, and without any remorse, saying all those negative things I've learned have been for a reason. Thank you for those lessons. So when you talk to somebody that's got a very hurtful thing happening to them, or it's really delicate to talk to them, I want you to reverse it. I want you to say, I'm so grateful that you're able to understand this. Thank you for allowing God to allow you to learn to love. This must be a lesson not necessarily for you, but for them. What is your path in regard to them? Don't hit them with that. Don't you know any better? You foolish person, you can't do that. Remember, reverse it. Sometimes it's the lesson they're doing something and not the purpose of doing something. They're not doing it for the emotion of it, they're learning for the lesson of it. So be clear about what you're getting and how you're wording it. I did want to say, understanding who your personal goals are. How much time you want to spend with something. That's very clear. I've given you so much information. So reading every day is very important. I encourage you, if you have friends that are also interested in this, get together, tarot cards, psychometry, bonding, holding hands, touching something of theirs. Those are the keys to learning to touch somebody and then back out. And I always encourage people to have fun with it. Go in with humor, go with a smile. Don't be intimidated, because if you start worrying about what's going to happen next, sometimes I talk so fast I wonder how it's processed in my brain. Where is Nancy in all this? I wish I knew. When I have people read my brain, they say it just like a firecracker. Probably is. Probably is. I really enjoy it. I'm also timid by it. I'm afraid of sometimes. But my passion to help people and knowing that I'm working for God keeps me going. I want you to be clear on your reason. If you can't get excited like I am, you don't belong in here. Go for the entertainment, get as many readings as you can, and as you open the door, all the people you've had readings by will give you some kind of clarity how you will do it. And don't worry about it. You're not going to be like me. You're not going to be like Rose. You're not going to be somebody else. You're going to be like you. Thank goodness. All right? Now, some things we didn't address today. I didn't address the true nature of channeling and allowing. As you become more psychic, your energy field grows with every reading you've done. You may have the impression that someone's trying to move into your energy. That not necessarily are you just hearing them, but the essence is moving into you. That's a whole class of mediumship. That's very important, and you need to be very clear on why you're doing it and who's getting into you and why. At this point, if you're trying to learn how, you feel like someone's moving into your space, I want you to get up and go get a drink of water. I don't want you to think you're being taken over by somebody. That's not what you should be into yet. When you're clear enough to who you are to give sessions, then we may allow Spirit to come and touch you. Then you get into channeling, then you get automatic writing, then you get into automatic drawings. I've had people step into me and I didn't know it. I've had people, my clients, start crying. That's not a good place to be when they're in grieving, if they don't know what's happening. So a whole class of mediumship. If people say, yes, you can see Spirit, and I can see them there, that's one thing. But when they step moving into your space, we're talking about transfigurations. That's a whole new level. Okay, so I encourage you very gently, is kind of stay away some of those fields until you're what you would call very comfortable with the psychic world, and your vision is there and you can see them. Don't let them enter your space. They don't have the right unless you give it. Okay? Some forms of channeling where the information comes through is when they're touching you and they're in your body, and you can feel them in your brain and in your body. Move them out. They can talk from out there. Okay? They don't have the right. You're the ones living, not them. This is a privilege for you. So honor who you are. Honor your space and your shell. They don't have the right to step in unless you give permission. They're not better than you. They're just over there. Their garments are different. Okay? And then the last thing I want to talk about before I want to take some questions is it's very important not to volunteer information all the time. Sometimes I'll give a class or a session, and I have a tendency to get real excited. Who else wants to learn this? Okay. When I do that, if I'm reading, my energy is going and blending with somebody. I'm a burner. Everybody in the room gets hot. If you can feel my energy, move into it, I don't care. Visualize and feel if you can get what I'm picking up. That's very, very important. But after the class is over, please don't run up to that person and say, I also got. Because you have not been given permission. I was given permission. And what you're doing is you're infringing upon someone else's free will, their destiny, or their personal rights. I have to also control that. Sometimes in an environment like that, I may walk up to Lloyd or Karen and, I love you guys. Gee, Merry Christmas. I just want to hug you. And I know this lady over here. And sometimes I want to say, sometimes it will spill out. But with intent is what I'm looking at. With honesty and love for somebody, we may say something. But if you go up to somebody for ego or because you want power over them and you feel like you need to do that, then I don't want you in here anymore. I'm being not cruel, but what I'm saying is, what I'm asking you to do is follow the rules and know who you are. Now, I know there's a lot of questions here. One lady last time asked about how leaving your body. We were addressing today the technique of reading, and that's all I talked to you about, how to develop it and how to become better. But you will also read people, and there seems to be a shift in their energy. You can't really focus on their eyes because their eyes float from side to side of their head and out their body. Fragmentation of a personality trait, fragmentation of an emotion. Sometimes, like my father died when I was 6, and we were moved from home to home. I suffer from what we call disassociation. So that I don't get hurt, I don't always learn people's names. I try to remove that from my past, but somehow that trigger still is there. So I have to meet somebody 10, 20 times. I know Karen real well. Thank goodness I know these guys, and I know your names. But if I boo-boo, sometimes it's because I've removed that so I don't get hurt. Okay? So we were talking about moving out of the body. Journeys Out of the Body and Far Journeys is two books that I really encourage people to learn. There's also another book called Out of Body Experiences, which is very good. And the main mechanism, they say, if getting out of the body, 2 or 3 books were written by psychics like myself who said, oh my gosh, in my lifetime I've had trauma after trauma. I've had things happen to me where I can't handle being in that space. Like I told you, my disassociation was because we moved from family to family to get stable in life because my father died. I don't know that I fragmented at all. I disassociated. But there are some people, they say, gosh, I can't remember my past. There's ages from 3 to 6, I would black out. You might have fragmented your personality. Those people seem to be the ones that leave the body the easiest. Because of disassociation, they just move the personality aside and someone came in. It's not the 3 faces of Eve. It's a technique called out of body. You just move it out of body so that whatever's happening is the person inside, but not your spirit. You understand that? I did a fair once, and I talked about this. It was down in Monterey Peninsula. And I was reading. It was a quieter day. I traveled all the way down there. No one knows. It's kind of like a vacation to me. Maybe I'll have 10 to 20 readings, but it's not like the same up here, you know. So I was watching a psychic across from me. She was a pretty little thing. She had a shawl on, and she had all these beautiful colors. I kind of look at her. All of a sudden, I saw her lift out of her body, from the shoulders, out of the back, up over her, into the back of the person she was reading. I went, cool. That's really cool. I feel people, I go to them, I move around them. If I want to enter their spirit, I tell people it's kind of interesting because I feel it right here at the lower part of my neck, like right here where you have at the bottom part of your neck. There seems to be a portal or an area I call not our heart, not our brain, but here that enter the space. So I feel like I found the place where we enter time. Some people are really psychic. They go, oh, it feels funny here. Some people go full. They say it's a pulling, or some people say it's sucking. I'm not sure how to identify it. But I do believe that we're diverse enough that we will get to that space any way we can. So this woman left her body, came up over and hit the woman from the back. Sometimes you'll hear me say, I feel like I want to tell you something. Maybe a shoulder, but I don't know if it's your left shoulder or your right shoulder. That's because at that moment, I don't know if I came from your back or from your front. Okay? So I find that fascinating. A way to do it. In all the books I've read, some people say, I feel a very high vibrational rate. My body heats up and I start vibrating. Some people say, it happened the first time when I woke up in the middle of the night and I was floating at the ceiling and not in my body. Scared the heck out of me. Okay? All you have to do is ask and you will be back. Some people want to create a wave motion. Because it hasn't been figured out if we leave mostly by our head or both or by our toes. A wave motion as though you're in a floating box and the wave goes back and forth, back and forth. You can also go side to side. Oops, here we go. Like this, okay? I find it interesting, all I do is poop out my shoulders. I go like that. Excuse me. I gotta get back. The first few times I did it, I went right up into another place and the stars and everything. I went, and I don't know, one time someone told me, she says, Nancy, we were talking, and she says, now, Nancy, you leave your body all the time. Do you ever open your eyes? From that moment on, I did. It never occurred to me that I was floating outside of me, but didn't have my conscious eyes, my spirit eyes open. So when you get to feeling you're going out, be conscious of the fact that you're also opening your eyes, okay? Trauma, death in a family, divorce, anytime when you have an amount of stress that's all out of the ordinary, it seems to turn more switches on. And those people seem to be able to leave their body a little bit more readily, okay? Reading, learning to chord. I told somebody once, I said, this is definitely proven to me that we don't die. If I can read somebody in New Hampshire, someone's sister, tell him what her house looks like from the outside, from the roof down and inside in the kitchen, you know I have to be there. And then I have this other story about a lady, and I saw her in an embrace on a night would be very important for her talking to her honey. And I told her about the moles on this man's back, right? She had to check to see if I was right? And then that night came, and they had this all-important talk I said they would be talking about in the middle of the night. She was looking for my eyes. She says, let's see, she saw it from this angle. She must be, I mean, talk about concentrating the subject, and here she is looking for my eyes in there somewhere. So I do believe that if I'm able to travel in distance, in time, if I'm able to see the conscious eyes are open with my spirit, I'm not seeing with this, I'm seeing there. How can we die? If I can leave and go to New Hampshire that fast in 2 seconds. I have a man in New York I talk to all the time. He's a very lovely man. He doesn't necessarily have me talk about family. He talks about all his associates. And they're in New York, okay, England, Canada, Oregon, Florida, and Texas. Boy, my brain feels like it's been scrambled. And I'm traveling all over. It's fascinating because I can go from second to second. Remember, in that space of what we cannot see by our everyday life is that dimension space where there's no time, no distance, no friction. All right? Now, I know we have some questions. We got 25 minutes. I know I talk fast. But how about if someone starts collecting them? But if you can remember, because I'd like all the questions. If someone will just pass them all down, like from this girl with the black sweater, pass them all down to the end. And then I want you to let me have them, but I'd like you also to ask me questions. Now, I addressed the one that the lady said, oh, please ask, let someone ask this next time, the astral traveling. Let's have some questions on psychic abilities or anything like that I can help you with. Come on now, let's not be bashful. This little girl in green, I saw her writing something. What do you have there, dear? Writing notes. Okay, you're taking notes. Karen, do you have a question for me?
No, you answered.
I answered all of them.
Lots and lots.
Lots and lots. How was the back row? Alma? My goodness, did I answer everybody's questions on how to become more clairsentient, clairaudient, and...
No, you just opened up such a can of worms for just really.
All right. Let's see what kind of questions anybody has. Let's see. How do you stop leaving the body and stay inside? You know, it's interesting, but I talked to a lady once.
Nobody's happy.
Nobody's happy. I talked to a lady in the front row. She would have a bunch of people like tonight. And I was looking at her, and she kept leaving her body. I had one gentleman said he needs to eat meat once in a while. I had another person say that when they're dissatisfied with where they're at, they try to leave to not to have to face the moment. How many of us have been in such a bad space that we can't concentrate? Guess who's not in their body, right? The other day I had a lady come to me for a session, and I was telling some about this. I couldn't get her to concentrate with me. She gave me a list of things she'd like to cover for the day. Every time I brought up something, her eyes maneuvered back and forth. Guess who wasn't in her body at that moment? Okay, so staying in the body can be as easy as visualize yourself with an anchor in the ground, hugging a tree, eating something that may be out of your diet that you haven't touched very long. Now, I don't hold to the fact that this gentleman told me he needed to eat meat, because I'm not a very big meat eater. All right? How do I hold myself to the ground? Actually, I'm very responsive to human touch. I may hug somebody. I sit and I visualize my sitting, relaxing my energy. I have a tendency to move my energy really far and then bring it in. People ask, how do you expand? I visualize myself. Here at the end of a Q-tip, it's really tight. I visualize my cotton moving slowly, expanding. You can do that also. Feel the perimeters of the room, feel the perimeters of your person next to you. Learn to move your energy in and out of your body, because without being able to do that, you can't cord to find somebody. Knowing that you can visualize yourself as the top. Leaving your body sometimes is just scattering your energy. You're not leaving as much as you're throwing your energy all around the room. Visualize yourself as the top, turning and swirling the energy to your body like this. Okay? Sometimes using your body energy up too fast is also a misconsumer of leaving your body. Somebody said, gosh, I must have been on body from 12 to 1 o'clock, because after that I couldn't do anything. I said, probably something very stressful was happening at 1 o'clock and you burned all your stuff up. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so also leaving your body, 2 or 3 different things. First off, you can leave your body and not see a cord. You can leave your body and never see your body. Or you can leave your body and see a big cord. There's so many different ways. It's a whole class. Don't be afraid you're not going to die. I've not talked to anybody who's died because they left their body. Okay? Got it? But I have talked to people who have not seen a cord and thought their spirit had left their body. No, I don't think so. I have talked to people and said, this person I see next to you, is that your father? And says, yes, my father. You describe him completely. You said he was dying a terrible death, but he's not dead yet. I said, he's gone. We can be in comas and leave our body. There's no cord attached. But I don't know if that's complete spirit or the essence of the human being. See the difference? Don't know everything. Spirit says it's going to take another 1,000 years for me to figure out everything I need to know. I don't think I'll be around that long. Maybe it's the next life I see where I'm going to be a tall blonde. Thank goodness. Okay? Pretty nice looking lady too. I can't wait to write her a letter. Hope they get it. Okay? There's so many things. Okay, another question. How to materialize spirit? Oh my goodness. We, human beings, have more levels of energy. We have ectoplasm that the mediumship, the people of the past have called the white substance that holds all the matter that we are. When I do transfigurations or mediumship or materialization, don't touch me. I've sat on the ground cross-legged to the point where I'm flaring so much energy that it hurts for anybody to get more than 2 feet within the sphere of where I'm at. Okay? There is something within our human conscience and our desire to bond, to cord, to become with somebody else that you can create. The material that holds our essence together can move from our body. It does come out of an orifice. It doesn't come out of your toes. It comes out of your eyes, nose, every place else. Okay? That's kind of scary. Have I done it? Someone said they saw it around me. No, I have never materialized somebody. But it takes 2. It also takes spirit to want it. I want to explain something really quick. When I jump into somebody, say Karen's right here in front of me. She wants to know who her family are around her. I have to enter her space. I have to back out of her space. And I put my energy against spirit. I can only do it for one person at a time. When I do it for a whole room, it's because I'm going to be outside the perimeter of your energy band and touch everybody that's out here. It takes an immense amount of energy. So when you talk about materialization, where you see the ectoplasm attach itself to a person, that's a whole new level of I want to say the word release of your essence. Okay, I don't like doing that. I have heard that people who do that don't live very long. Don't know if I want to do that. I also found interesting that people who are psychic like myself and use amount of energy up, that I arbitrarily cannot give it up. The woman who was the psychic to Abraham Lincoln was only 22 years old when he was killed. And there's wonderful pictures of her levitating a piano with him and 2 other people sitting on it. Okay, there's wonderful. After he died, her comment was, when you've done the president, what else can you do? Within 2 years, she came down with rheumatoid arthritis and became so crippled she died at 45. She never touched the psychic world again. I don't think we can arbitrarily, once you're into it and touch this wonderful universe, that you're not so hungry that you want to continue forever. I've always told people that if God allowed me to have a whole bunch of money, I could type all my books up. But I wouldn't be able to give up my craft because the desire is so strong there that I actually burn up. You'll hear me say, can I read you? I haven't read anybody else today. The energy almost needs to be released. It's like it builds up inside of you to the point of poof, okay? But when you enter the world of materialization, there's so many books out. I'm trying to think of a name. Top of my head, I don't have a name of someone who does that. Be sure you read Amanda Blavatsky. I hope I pronounced that right. I saw a picture today in a newspaper, the Mount Shasta newspaper. I read a couple of her books. Huh? Blavatsky. Wonderful. There's so many books out on that woman and the people of her era. But like I said, I don't actively materialize on a daily basis, but I do put my energy in other people so that I can see the essence of who they are. And I find it fascinating. I wish I had more time. How to develop independent voice. Independent voice? Who said that? How to develop... Okay, whose questions am I asking? How to materialize spirit? Who asked that? No one said? Okay, I had a feeling it was one of you three over here. I'd like to share with you something that happened to me once. I let a spirit into my person, and it almost felt like a wetsuit all over my body. And I found it interesting that my throat didn't swell, but became solid. And someone else heard me speak, but I did not. I believe that the energy of who they are has to be concentrated in a particular area, and they core to our voice box. And that's how independent voices happen. I've only done it a couple times. It scared me to death. I didn't know that's how it was. But it's almost like my voice and my neck became so firm and solid. But what happened was that they were going to use it. Okay? Yes, I've done channeling. I've been taken over and channeling words come through my conscious, through my voice. That's not the same thing. What they're doing is they borrow a body part. What's interesting is when you allow that to happen, your metabolism speeds up to such a degree because they're vibrationally at a higher level than you are, that it doesn't damage us, it kind of wears us out a little faster. That's my truth. Remember, everything I've told you today is how I interpret the truth and how I can interpret back to you. So as you attend more classes on this subject matter, they will interpret the best way they can to you. You need to take all the information you get and create your own truth. Okay? How do you call your guardian angel? How to contact the humans, the ETs? How to rise our spiritually to our highest level? Desire to raise to a higher level is the first quest. Don't you know the people who aren't here today or in classes, they have a higher road, a tougher road to go? Okay, I have family members that I wish them the best. They ain't in the same space I'm in. Okay, just because I was born to these people, the same genes, doesn't mean we're in the same plane. How to contact the galactic humans, ETs. I actually did a channel for a woman named Lydia one day. And the best way to say it is that when I do a lot of sessions, depending on how I address personal psychic information, spirit, or out of our dimension live people, it feels like different.